smoke, give me high, let me float. I'm a clown, coming down, pull me down, chill now. Give me drink, give me dope. Bottom line, I can't go. If I die, I don't know, I don't know.
Oh yeah, we're back with another one, with another fun. The lips, the teeth, the tip of the tongue. Welcome in, welcome to Sin. Okay, chill. This is not Final Fantasy X. What are we talking about? Today we're doing the Sovereign Quest. Well, these quests help us become sovereign, to reign over the Sovereign. Basically, this is to do one of our alliance battles, to fight the Calamity King. But all in all, I mean, what they really are is arming yourself for the journey, the eternal journey, you know? And what is this journey? The journey to get the Triforce, to connect yourself, to be that one, you know, that vision of that guy over there in the distance that you're like, man, I wish I could be like that guy. That is you. And, you know, the tale of the Sovereign here in Dragon Quest, I believe, like most things, like most video games, it relates to real life. And the analogy they're trying to set is the children's journey, you know, the adolescence to whatever version of yourself that you feel you are equipped to carry through the rest of your life. But welcome in. Physically, what we're doing today is getting the Pukus out of the way. Oh, that rhymes. Look at me, I'm a little rapper. I'm little dragon. That's the stupid name. Little Koopa? That's also a stupid name. We're just gonna stop there. Low mark. I didn't stop there. I lied. Anyways, the Magistress quest is pretty simple. We basically just go to the castle. The dungeon is over here on the Wondrous Windmill Tower. All of these, by the way, are accessible in the Magic Maze, so you'll probably know this aesthetic if you've played this game. It is, you know, the Pukuland Magic Maze. It's on the tower. Essentially, we've done the first quest of the line, which is just helping the lady on the tower last time, and now we're going to finish the second part. As last time we finished Glen, this time we'll get the full Pukuland quest done. And also, I think, yeah, so it's not the king you have to talk to, it's this guy in the God. He's going to send us over to the tower. Then we'll get a cutscene with the, not the king, but of course, as you remember in our, first version playthrough, there is no king of Orphea anymore. We are working with the prince, because the king, he is very dead. Very dead. So yeah, he's gonna send us over there, and then we're gonna have a quick little cutscene with the prince, where we are, I believe this time we're getting the gloves. Am I crazy? We're getting the gloves and the boots. The gauntlets, yes we are. We're getting the gauntlets. Oh yeah, they're not gloves, they're gauntlets. But yeah, I suppose I'll get a little bit more into that analogy of, you know, life. Essentially, I feel like, you know, in these things, or this game, you know, there's sort of 3 components that you really need in order to get the Sovereign's quest done. I'd say you need basically the armor, the shield, and then like you got to help the girls out. You know, you have to complete the ladies' quest or whatever, right? And the reason why I say all these 3 things are separate, because they all feel like sort of separate task in a way, and I'll go into how that's more and more indicative as we get deeper and deeper into the Sovereign quest. But the reason why I split them up into these 3 things is because we kind of have to master our 3 avatar states as guys and learn to interact and work with them and allow them to flow through us and basically be in all 3 states at all times, you know, or be able to jump to all 3 states at all times, right? And this is just me speaking from a male perspective, but I oftentimes when people say male perspective, they really just mean a growth-based individual perspective. And when you are a woman, you don't have to do this. Actually, when you're a guy, you don't have to do this either, you know, and we didn't have to all adhere to, you know, reach the pinnacle of what we can do. We didn't all have to do this. You know, some people back in the day, they were just rock destroyers. They took big rock and made small rock. They were gatherers, you know? They looked out and they're like, oh, there's a berry. Oh, my job is so hard. I gotta get these berries. You know, like, didn't used to be literally suffocated by, you know, our own infrastructures, you know, and honestly driven to madness by the extremity of the things trying to keep us together. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. But that's beside the point. The three structures that I feel like we have to master, the three modes, the three levels of consciousness, the three. Okay, let me chill out. Let me chill out. That's basically the horny mode. Of course, you guys all know. You're activated. You're emboldened. You got nothing but red in your eyes. You know what I'm saying? There's that mode, and then there's the lock-in mode. You are focused. You are in whatever you're doing. You're locked in precisionally targeting achievements and goals and progress. And then there's the desperation and sadness. And the reason why I say these are the main modes for men is because that's what's going to actually elevate us and bring us to God's status. You can't have one without the other, okay? These are the things that help us stay balanced. It's like when people say, you know, the basic Triforce or whatever of mind, body, spirit. You know, a lot of people say that. This is the real fucking Triforce, okay? If you want to get down to brass tacks on how you should feel on a daily basis, it's bouncing between these three, because these three will actively help you grow and progress in a logical way, instead of just, you know, happily moving about and not knowing what the hell is going on. Now, you can't have too much of one or too much of the other or too much of, you know, you kind of have to really just jump between them. Okay, is the best way to do it. Now, some people can say that they're just, you know, I'm always in lock-in mode. My lock-in mode never leaves, blah, 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 blah. But over time, it's going to wear on you, of course. Over time, you're going to see that resting is a little bit more valuable than just constantly pushing out quantities and quantities. Because when you rest and you have a lock-in mindset, you notice that your quality becomes better. And at a certain point in our efficiency and our proficiency quest, there comes a time when we're like, yeah, I gotta start, you know, working on how good it is, matter than, you know, just showing up and giving trash quality every time. And sometimes that means you gotta cut back. Sometimes that means you can't do a live stream every day. Sometimes that means, you know, you can't produce a piece of clothing every day, a song every day, a video every day. You can't do that every day. Sometimes that's what that means. You gotta hold on to things. You have to stabilize a little bit. And that's when the despair comes in. The despair. I mean, I don't really like to call it despair or like sadness mode, because it's really introspection. What sadness does to us is it's like sadness is like anger without the clouded judgment. Because when you are angry, you are impassioned, you are emboldened to do things. But when you're saddened, you don't want to do things, but you still feel that injustice. You still feel that something is wrong. So when you're sad, you have the room in your brain to actually think of the right thing to do. The problem with sadness is that a lot of people just get trapped in there. You can't wallow. It's okay to feel sad though, and that is a mode that we actively have to utilize. Now, the problem is a lot of guys, since we're masculine guys and we're not supposed to be sad or cry in public, and no, I'm not going to say go cry to your girlfriend or be sad out there in public, because that's not the way to do it. What you're supposed to do with the sadness, hold on to it, feel it for yourself, you know, do what you need to do to hop out of that pit. But when you hop out of that pit, utilize the knowledge, the wisdom from what you pondered in your mind. Usually, and this is not every time, but usually what we are most sad and most depressed about is a clear sign for what we need to try to fix. You know, what we need to move toward, you know what I'm saying? To really get down to brass tacks and be like, yes, this sucks, this is unfair, so what am I gonna do about it? And hopefully what you decide to do about it is something you actually like to do. Please, for the love of God, man, do not get good at what you hate. Don't do it. Don't do it. I've done it. I've goddamn done it. And it puts you in this kind of trapped box, you know, where you feel like you're in. This is so wrong to think, but you're in a world where everyone is entitled to that part of you that you don't want to give, and then the part that you do want to give, you're, you know, too embarrassed to even show it. You know, and then you're just a prisoner in your own skin. You know, a slave in a world of freedom that you've created. You know? And that kind of life is not worth living. That's what a lot of that's the life that a lot of guys find themselves in, and then they just fucking off themselves. And can you fucking blame them? It's not their life. It is not their life. So the problem with today's society, the problem with this stupid MMO that we're playing nowadays is that a lot of people will try to convince you to play their game for them, like they're in New Game Plus, and they already know what's right. And I've already lived this shit, so you gotta follow me and get my 10 steps to freedom and get my guide. No, man, master the 3 modes, master your horny, okay? I am not saying do not be horny. Jesus Christ, please don't stop being horny. You'll probably kill yourself. This is not a joke. This is not a joke. I recall when I was the most depressed. It was when I was like actively trying to abstain from my horny. I just embrace my horny, and then I don't feel bad about the depressing and horrible things happening in the world. And by embrace the horny, I don't mean just give in to the goon. Just understand your triggers. Give yourself a schedule. Do things beforehand. Okay? That is an end of the day thing. And of course, guys, if you have a girlfriend, what are you doing? Your horny's supposed to go to her. I don't understand how people have a girlfriend and still look at porn. I really don't. I really don't. But that's just me. You know, if there's really in that kind of situation, then you have to jump to get out of it as soon as possible. Okay? That's just what you have to do. Okay? But a lot of that energy, that horny energy, you realize it fuels the other 2 areas, right? You know, you're not gonna be able to lock in with the distractions everywhere. You're not gonna be able to despair with the anger of everything going on. You're not gonna be able to get into despair. You're just gonna go directly to anger. You know, with the loins and all that shit, you're not gonna get sad. And sadness is needed. Do not run from your sadness. That's probably the most vital part of this whole step. You know, that's where you create your plan. That's where you create your structure, your building blocks. Because the sadness, when felt, allows us to go into peace. And peace is your foundation, baby. Okay? Peace is your foundation. So how we're gonna relate this to the Dragon Quest is this first one, when we're getting the armor, that is learning our sadness. Our sovereign, if you will. You know? The sovereign armor kind of helps us get in that mode to really understand what we're doing here. And I feel like that is what this sort of quest line of mythology really is. It's like what was truly going on back in the day of Dragon Quest to have this calamity strike and now come to the future to destroy us now. Like what is happening? And that's what it is, guys. It's the boomers from our past destroying us right fucking now because of what they did. And it doesn't matter, okay? We're not gonna get mad at them. We're not gonna say kill all old people. We're not gonna say eat the rich. No, we're just gonna lock in. We're going to collect all of the trinkets and the secret things from their past in order to utilize it, not to kill them, but to save us. Okay? This is not a battle of consciousness, okay? This is a long life battle with ourselves, just like fucking Kendrick said, okay? We're all Drakes. Every single one of us, we're living a Drake life. Okay? We're living a Drake existence. We're drinking the Drakeage. Okay? And it's a horrible, horrible thing. But it's the fact that we're all surrendering. And how do you surrender? You group think. You herd think. You hive mind. And that is a surrender. To truly survive, you gotta go back and form your own opinions from not only your experiences, but the experiences of your ancestors past. You know what I'm saying? So that is what is truly happening in this quest, in my opinion. As you saw from the last cutscene that we did, this is us going back into the ancestors past, because we are worthy. You know, we are worthy. This is you discovering maybe a little tidbit about where you should go or what you should do from this past video. Because I imagine when you're watching this, it's probably gonna be 5 years in the future because nobody fucking watches this now, thank God. That is why I feel so free to do this. But I'm just here. I just like producing it. You know, I really do just like playing the game, and this is one platform that I really feel comfortable enough to speak my mind on, just because I've been here for so long, for so long. And I really did not feel comfortable jumping on earlier in life. I feel like that's another thing about me, though. It's just the growth is something that I crave so much that sometimes I would get locked in to despair mode, and I would just be despairing and planning and despairing and then planning. Maybe I'd lock in a little bit and then despair and plan. No, man. Tap in. Get all 3 combined. You can't forget to lock in, and you can't forget to horny. And you can't forget to utilize your energy, okay? And of course, there are probably positive ways to do this, but honestly, there's a lot of risk and variables involved, and I really don't think there is a holy way to target individuals nowadays. In my eyes, you know, it's always going to backfire in some way, you know, asset wise, until you have an abundance. You know? And then once you feel like you have an abundance, then you can, you know, go ahead and target and see what you can get. But yeah, abundance is the key to locking down anyone, really, friendships or business partners or whatever. It's the person who doesn't really care if it wins or if it fails that has all the leverage, okay? Remember that in every partnership, okay? And this is a sad, sad way to live, but this is just how it is nowadays. Which is why I really just don't try. I just can't, because I've left too much emotional baggage in the past, because you guys see me, you see how I live, you see how I interact. I don't need to talk to people, I never have, but people really do love talking to me, and I enjoy talking to most people, but do I need to? The answer is no. And do I ever have a desire to? The answer is also no. And so I have to just realize that in my eyes, in my life, I gotta lock in. I gotta lock in. The reason why I was so trapped in despair mode is because I had no time to lock in a lot of times, man. I was locking in on other people's shit. And I was like, why am I so sad? Why do I feel like I'm not moving anywhere? It's because you're not utilizing your skill points. When I say utilize your skill points when you level up, it's like you do something for someone else and then use that information from someone else to help you. You know what I'm saying? Wherever you can in your life. A lot of random activities that we do for other people can really be applied in a very, very straightforward way to things we are trying to succeed in our life. Analogies are incredibly powerful, and I will not stop preaching them throughout this entire playthrough. So hopefully you stick around because, yeah, that's what we're doing. We're doing here. Do appreciate you watching so far. You've watched quite a bit. You listened to a lot of bit of my voice, but don't worry, we're almost done here. Got a couple more enemies on this floor, and then this is the last one before we fight the boss. Yeah, that's my sovereign theory right there. We'll jump into it. So yeah, I think the first part here is understanding the despair, and then the second part, which we'll get into, is getting the shield, which is getting our sovereign weapons. You have to collect the axe and the hammer in order to get the shield, and that's why I started with Dole Worm, but then I didn't want to finish the Dole Worm one because that's basically the longest one. And then the last part of the sovereign is understanding horny mode. How do we understand horny mode? Oh my god, horny mode! Horny mode! 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7, 6, 7. No, it's funny. It is actually kind of hilarious because the last part of this quest, we'll get into it, but the last part of this quest is after you actually defeat, you know, quote unquote, the Calamity King, and then, you know, there gets more plot, and then you actually have to help the girls and go back into the girls' past, and, you know, you understand that the women actually are the ones that help us through the, you know, we'll get into it, but the last part's horny mode, the middle part's lock-in mode, because that's when we lock in. And then this first part is understanding despair. This is your whole baseline. This is your whole balance board, your foundation, like I said, for all of our success. This is where the armor comes from. You know, you build that armor with your peace, with your sovereign, with your stillness, with your stoicness. That's the only way to go, man. It's the only way to go. You can't run through life just interacting with fear anymore. You can't. In today's way of technology and cameras and recordings and all this bullshit, every attack you do is felt. Not only by the person you're attacking, but by the millions of cuts you're sending through them. Okay? And that's scary. That means, you know, damage is not viable anymore. You can't just go out there, you know, throwing out hits. You can't do that anymore. So what did America do? They still wanted to rule through fear, but America is a DOT queen. Okay? Damage over time. That's the way America gets you. So it's still disgusting, it's still ugly, but everybody's trying to blind you to thinking that what's not even happening, guys. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Middle class still exists. They're not trying to kill us. No. There's no wealth disparity. What are you talking about? It is all DOT. So honestly, if you look on the surface, they're really right. Nobody's really hurting you. You are hurting yourself. And it's all over time. Because, you know, if somebody keeps doing a debuff on you, if somebody keeps trying to status affect you, it's like confusion. It's not gonna work the first like maybe 8 times, but then that 9th time, and then suddenly your confusion resistance starts lowering. You know, like, man, I just keep getting hit by confusion now because I just keep doing it, and they just keep confusion. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's disgusting. But then on top of that, you get the horrible poison buffs, you know, the damage leaks, the debt. People don't know about debt, the intelligence buffs, the intelligence leaks. It's bad. It's bad out here. But I think the worst part about it is that just there's so much misinformation out there, and there's so much lack of information, and there's so much omission of information, and the people who control the channels really are a little bit seedy out there. So I'm just so thankful. I'm so thankful there are platforms like YouTube out there. There are platforms like Kick, Twitter. Thank you, Elon, for buying Twitter. It's a terrible place, and I hate it, but thank you for buying it anyway, so that it's a still free market. Because the fact of the matter is that the all-encompassing, wonderful people who are so good and loving, they control most of the media. You know, the people who just like are brass tacks about the money, if it ain't about money, you know what I'm saying? Just trying to keep everything as efficient and structured as possible. They don't talk. They do. They move the fucking money around when it needs to be moved around. Because they've realized, if you really want power, if you really want control, you take it. And the higher ups on the left realize that too. Or, you know, I'm sorry, just the more empathetic side, the loving side, the people that want you to be safe and structured and healthy. They want the power too. But the control of the people comes by death of 1,000 cuts. And of course, the people with the most power are controlling both sides. So it's really, that's why I'm really not trying to make this a left versus right thing. I am trying to end the divide. How? By dividing my fucking brain in half. But hey man, I was gonna do it anyways. So why not put it on camera for 2 people to see or so. But we are just about done here. I'm so glad because I've been rambling too much and I feel like my brain is actually splitting in half in real life. I probably just need more coffee, so I'll go do that. Probably get some protein in there too. Guys, remember to stay healthy in whatever way you can. But honestly, just take steps. You know what I'm saying? Like get in that despair mode and don't forget to get out of it, jump into lock-in mode and take steps. Because that's the only way to move forward. I'm not saying you're gonna be not sad sometimes. I'm not saying that, you know, being happy is even the goal. It's not. At least not for me. You know, I'm super glad just being locked in and horny and despairing all the fucking time. I'm super glad with that. You know, that kind of makes me happy in a weird kind of fucking way. But nevertheless, it's all about the growth. The growth is really what makes us guys happy. And that's what I believe. That's what I will continue to believe. That's what I feel like is keeping me alive at this point. Because I really don't want to be here, just in general. But we're not going to get on the depressing stuff at the end of the video. Hell no. Instead, I will congratulate you for making it to the end. I want to thank all 80, oh my gosh, I think we are 89. We are growing rapidly. And although, like I've said multiple times, I'm fearful, but I do treasure the fact that you're here and you do watch the videos. So once again, thank you for stopping by. Maybe we'll see you next time, maybe we won't. But if I don't, please use your own perspective, use your own mind, use your own will to make your own choice, and that would make me happy. And that's all I really need. That's all I really need. You know, I don't really need that long, sustained happiness. I don't even really need to know you did it. But I need to know I said it. And we're done being locked in. We got our gauntlets. Be sure to tune in next time when we get more armor. I don't know what we're doing. Yes, who knows? Anyways, guys, give a like if you like, give a sub if you love, and I will see you next time.
Give me drink, give me smoke, give me high, let me float. I'm a clown, coming down, throw me down, chill now. Give me drink, give me dope, bottom line, I can't cope. If I die, I don't know. Yeah.